Tinsley sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Barr FTF Cup Series. Into the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag. Here comes Vargas down on the apron. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordan Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they're going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas. Get your front there. He's got it. He's got it. Get there. No. Canvas is going to win.
Tonight, the battle for the WINSTEL Cup makes its way to Dover Motor Speedway. It's the 20th race of the WINSTEL campaign in its 2003 season as it looks to see which driver can conquer the Monster Mile here on FTF.GG. Good evening, everyone. Justin Pritzel alongside Josh Mendoza, Zach Johnson producing as we get set to go racing 65 miles from Dover. And Josh, the drivers, very hype entering tonight. It's the final 5 races in the battle for the WINSTEL Cup.
Yeah, and it's going to be a quick track indeed. We got a 1-mile track. High bank, self-cleaning is what they call this track. You'll see potentially a lot of incidents on this track, and they'll come right back down in front of you. So just be on your toes and ready to go.
Let's take a quick look at your starting grid as we get ready from Dover. Quickly glance through tonight's grid. 33 entries tonight. Sean Pellig with his first career WINSTEL pole. Christian Budd starts alongside. Solis Jr. second of the championship, row 2. Amongst the drivers to keep an eye in the next half dozen, James Holzer trying to make up for several lost spots to points leader Tyler Head by near full race. Rest of your starters continue to scroll on through as we get ready to go racing. Dover expect to be difficult as we get ready for the start, Josh.
Yeah, and the pace car is pulled down. Very quick pace lap here, and they are going to approach the green flag here shortly.
Green flag is out from Barney. We're underway for the Monster Mile. And a good start from Sean Pellig as we're underway.
Side-by-side action already, but there's a great lead out in front for Sean Pellig. He leads the field into turn number 3.
Seen a little bit of a stutter step almost, though, too, from Christian Budd because he didn't want to pass the leader for that start and finish line. In turn, Solis Jr. up to second already. Again, 65 laps, 65 miles on the docket. You'll run, see 70% of the fuel tank for today. So it could be tricky today for drivers to shuffle through this pack.
Jose Solis is trying to overcome the absolute unfortunate result of last week's race, where he got spun out on that last lap, was leading for most of it, and ended up finishing 12th place. That was not the kind of run he was hoping to have in order to close that points gap to the leader, Tyler Head.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, we got a wreck on the backstretch. 22 involved, the 5 as well. Sally Osmond, and it looks like Steve Guntier were involved in that incident.
Caution flag is out. Those drivers 27th and 28th positions. And we're already under our first yellow flag of the evening here in WINSTEL action from Dover. It just so happens that a lot of times incidents happen down that backstretch, it seems. If you remember back to, say, the 1990s, the whole field wrecked there at once. Here's what happened at the back.
Ooh. Looks like the 5 might have gotten a little loose off of corner exit. If you rush that throttle too quickly, it's very easy to lose the back end of the vehicle. We'll get another angle right here, and I think you'll see the 5 just get a little bit loose and come down onto the 22, and that hip checks and just sends the 22 down into the bottom of the track.
Well, the 04 being there doesn't help either.
Oh, absolutely. It's very tight racing right there, 3 wide.
That was Olivia Hayward in the 04, by the way. Ali Osman claiming that he'll take the caution if it is on him. Remember, in race control, they do a review policy for any claimed cautions for post-race. So in turn, those drivers getting repairs done, and majority of your leaders staying out of the racetrack. Let's take a look at those point standings we're just discussing it in the midst of the grid. Because as mentioned, time ahead coming into tonight is 182 points up over Jose Solis Jr. Christian Budd gained 2 spots or so coming into tonight. He's 197 back. Nick Doucette, Dylan Roberts amongst the top 5. 220 points, that separation. But some drivers like James Holzer and Zach Campbell really took tumbles coming into race 20 of the season, especially with those drivers more than 300 points back, and in turn, 18 starts amongst those races. Zach Campbell just 13 starts this season.
During the caution, Steve Cantieri claimed the caution and said did not know that they were 3 wide at the moment. So it's a good reason for an incident happening, especially off of turn number 2. It's very difficult to know just how wide you can be in that part of the track. It's so narrow so quickly.
It can happen so many times here at Dover, but already we're at the 1-to-go signal. So here's how they restart. Just past 5 laps down. Pellig, Solis Jr., Budd, Roberts, Koenigs, Doucette, the Nick variety, Austin Reedy, Gabriel Mauricio, Tom Burhead, and James Holzer. Now, when it comes to the 90 of Austin Reedy, that was a late addition to this series this season. The 90 car was one of the quickest cars in final practice. In fact, up to the final few moments was as high as second on the practice charts, just a half a tenth off the fast time. One of the best starts for him all season.
It's an incredible start right there. It's something to be proud of, especially at a track like this. It can be very difficult to get up to speed if you're not really prepared for it. So good start so far for the 90, and currently running in that 7th position. Started on 5th, so we'll see if Austin can make up the spots he's lost as the pace car pulls in.
It's Reedy's first career top 5 start, little in top 10. Sean Pellig from that first career WINSTEL pole takes the green flag. Sled all 5 laps as we're back underway. And already 3 wide, Tom Burhead trying to get around Mauricio. Mauricio slams the door.
Already getting a little side-by-side action through 1 and 2. People trying to make up as many positions as they can. These restarts are definitely dicey here at Dover.
Such a bottom-dominated racetrack. There's the one at Parker Alexander trying to get to the inside of Evan Locke.
Right now we got a battle for 5th position. 24 on the outside, 32 on the inside. And this is going to get really, almost clears off the corner, but not able to. Alex Koenigs not able to do that.
Koenigs indeed. Remember, Koenigs last year showed lots of speed. Slipped back this year, riding for the tied ride, and into the wall goes Lawrence Longer. The 7 car from Ultra Motorsports into the wall. We're under yellow for the 2nd time.
Immediately comes over the radio and claims it. Car got a little weird off of corner exit, I think.
And he did mention he had no keyboard. Hard to explain it. Well, that explains it.
Yeah, he just got loose, and it looked like he kind of overcorrected just a minor amount. That caught the rear end of the 21, and that sent his front end towards the inside wall.
And if it's not down the back straightaway but the car getting loose, usually it's the front, just the door check. You seen Lewandowski was the one getting loose. And in turn, Craig Laudenslager, significant right side damage. But in turn, as a result of the caution, already 2 yellow flags. Very early going here from Dover. How's that in turn going to impact the fuel mileage, how tight things can be with the mileage this season, but also with so many pace laps already?
Yeah, it's a good point to make right there. We haven't mentioned it previously, but 70% the size of the regular fuel load here at Dover. So they only get about 70% what they normally would on a normal race, but already marred by cautions. It's going to give them an opportunity to save a little bit of fuel. See if anyone comes down pit road. No one ahead of 21st has come down pit road yet. The first one who has is Philip Snipes. He came down pit road not too long ago.
Some discussion already over the radio of if we'll see green flag runs pop up here. And keep in mind, in these closing stages, points going to be extremely critical for the championship because you have Dover Motor Speedway, you have Talladega next week, which is a WINSTEL staple. You have Kansas, you have Legacy Phoenix, and you have Homestead to battle for the championship. If you are good at the short tracks, this and Phoenix are your last chances to get points.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you want to capitalize. It is weird. It feels like this is almost a it's if Bristol was just double. I feel like that's a great way to put it, is if it's a double Bristol. So it races similar to Bristol. You can have a couple of lanes and it's quick. So definitely an opportunity there if you're good at Bristol. I feel like that would translate very well here to Dover. Phoenix is a very different short track. I feel like Jose Solis is one that I'm going to look at Phoenix just because of how well he performed at Richmond.
Keep in mind, this track was originally built not just as a auto racing track, but a horse racing facility. In fact, until recently, believe they used to run horse races in the infield. There's also that casino down the back straightaway, which makes sense with Dover Downs operating for many years. That's where the name Dover Downs came from, the Dover Downs horse track.
There you go. That's a good point right there. And I mean, it's a horse race, you know. They just a little bit laying out. These guys are all running around here. You never know in horse racing. The winner could come at the last corner, the last second. You never know who's going to win until the checker flies.
So far, 11 laps led, coming to 12 for Sean Pellig. 2 cautions in the first 12 laps. 53 to go at the stripe. Green flag is out. Back underway. And already Mauricio looking for 7th.
3 wide action behind them. It is getting real dicey to turn number 1. We'll see if they get it sorted. They do, at least for now. Corner exit's going to be a different story, though, if they don't get it sorted quick. And they do.
Topper head up on the outside into the wall for a moment. Reedy with a tech issue right in front of that. Holzer in turn having to take the middle line to try and sort things out as Mauricio, along with Topper head, still side by side. It's been like this on the past couple restarts.
On board right now with Emily Howe. And right now you can see Tyler Head directly ahead, trying to battle side by side with Gabriel Mauricio. 91 is not given any space. That's James Holzer.
Emily Howe, amongst those who helped build this week's setup, in fact, credited for a lot of the work heading into tonight. In turn, you would think Emily Howe expect to be very quick tonight if you have that extra bit of experience building the setup everyone else is on.
It will certainly not hurt your chances. You'll definitely be building to a little bit of a personal preference and trying to make it at least
trouble in front. There goes Reedy up on the wall. Contact from behind as well, setting him up in the fence. Emily Howe 3 wide as well with Alex Bates.
Oh, this might cause an incident, and it does. The 25, Evan Locke, gets caught up. Oh, he's in the air.
The 25 gets picked up off the ground. Caution flag is out. Austin Reedy claims responsibility immediately. You can see that coming once that started at the flag stand.
Yeah, corner exit's very difficult when you're 3 wide. We've already seen an incident just a few laps ago, and 25, I believe, caught off the nose of the 30 car. That's Tyler Murray, who went underneath the 25. Oh, that's got to be one heck of an onboard.
And to mention the name James, trying to mention Reedy, that's because James Holzer actually hit him as Reedy got into that safer barrier. Then it gets bad.
See right there, and the 30 car is just going to come and whoop.
And the 25 getting the worst end of it. Significant suspension damage. Not mandatory, but not optimal either.
See the 25 right here, trying to figure it out. On board with the 30. Oh, this is going to be a great shot. See all sorts of information about the undercarriage of the 25.
from Murray. It looks like a race car. So that's what the undercarriage of one of these Gen 4 machines can look like. We're under caution. Pit stops for a majority of the field. We'll break this down in just a moment. You're watching FTF.GG. Welcome back to WINSTEL action from Dover. As we approach the lap 20 mark, Sean Pellick staying out along with Solis Jr., Bud, Kolinix, Roberts, and Nick Doucette. Philip Snipes on back, electing to pit throughout portions of this race. The majority of the field pitting for 2 tires or 4 tires and fuel. Fuel strategy on hand, we're back underway. Already, several drivers looking to slice and dice like Zach Campbell.
And it got a little bit hairy on that initial start. We went 4 wide in the middle of the pack for just a second on the front straightaway. Obviously, no longer 4 wide, a little bit of 2 wide action instead.
Now, keep in mind, that could be critical for those who elected to top off or take the fuel this caution. There is a chance, Josh, say the fuel run gets to about 70% of that is 49. We're under 46 to go.
Yeah, it's open. The race, if you're a gambling person, then the field window is open. And if you pitted under that last caution, you potentially could go all the way to the end of the race without pitting once again.
Now, Philip Snipes, amongst those who stayed out, he's got actually the oldest tires in the field right now after pitting under the first yellow of the race. Keep an eye on him in 10th. There's Nick Doucette, meanwhile. He's the last of those who stayed out here. Zach Campbell along the inside. First of those who took 2 tires, Tyler Head took 4.
Tyler Head is on pit road. I think he's moving forward pretty quickly. That's going to be one that I'm going to keep my eye on in the 86 Papyrus machine. As we see, oh, he's almost looking like he wants to go 3 wide off the corner exit. Instead, it's going to arc it all the way down. Oh, he's going to get held up by the 24. That's not going to be able to allow him to take a run very far.
If anything, Thomas Lewandowski nearly made it offset 3. Lewandowski also took 2 tires, nearly gone inside. There it goes for Tyler Head.
Going to be able to get onto the inside this time, allow for a good deep arc here. It's going to probably slide up a little bit through the middle, not able to close off, but that's going to allow him to clear all the way through and now move him up into the 7th position.
Lots of good battles across the field here. But Zach Campbell, keep in mind, who's had very strong qualifying speed much of the season, did gain 17 spots in turn as a result of that previous pass throughout this race already after not setting a qualifying time.
We had a little incident on the backstretch. The 30 car got really loose in front of a couple of other cars, and he in the 90s also battling some issues with his vehicle. So a couple of those people involved in that last incident, not quite fixed and up to speed. They're definitely battling a loose condition or just a broken race car altogether.
Austin Reedy getting a majority of the repairs done, by the way, during that caution period. He's got the only spotter in sim in the field, Christopher Bishop. But up at the front, Sean Pellick continuing to maintain the track position. Nick Doucette is the only driver who stayed out under the caution so far to lose positions. Everyone else has maintained their spot.
Yeah, and Sean Pellick continuing to lead. That's important just to establish where he's at. But remember, he hasn't come down pit road. And that's something that is going to be concerning towards the long run pace of this race. Although it is going to allow him, when he does come down pit road, to potentially get 4 tires and be a lot quicker, as we've seen the pace differential between Tyler Head and those others who have stayed out.
Speaking of those feeling some pressure, the battle for 5th's on in the backdrop. That's Dylan Roberts, the winner from Richmond last week. He's currently being pressured by those on the tires. Zach Campbell making the outside move. Topperhead, Thomas Lewandowski, all trying to do the exact same to him. There's the pinch and there's contact. Dylan Roberts out of the gas.
Tyler Head's very, very fortunate that Dylan Roberts was willing to let out of the gas there. Otherwise, that could have been an incident involving both of them. We've seen that before, where 2 cars go together and synchronized spin here at Dover.
And expect that pace difference to start to be fairly stark right now. Those on fresh tires, averaging a few hundredths quicker than the leaders. That pace may get kicked up here now that they got clean space. In fact, a 10th quicker. Larry Pace, speaking of him, he's up 6 spots amongst those on 2 tires. The 75 amongst those on a part-time schedule. Every time we've seen Larry Pace, he's done very well. After all, he was one of the surprises of last season. Well, in terms of the car he chose, an unsponsored machine, driven by one of the Foyts, and taking it to race wins.
It's a good way to establish a legacy in the series, is to go out there and win. Especially in a car that doesn't have a major legacy behind it. Ooh, we got one, looks low. That looks like the 97 machine.
That once again would be 97 of Snipes. Snipes all the way back to where he started the race in 21st with damage. So that call to stay out for that caution period, last yellow, starting to slip back.
And that damage actually occurred, I think, on the last lap. He went all the way down to the inside barrier and made contact with it, but did not spin out. So we were able to keep it under green for that. But otherwise, it's just not a good position to be in with a car that's damaged like that.
Just crossed the halfway point. A change for second. Budd over Solis Jr. Christian Budd last time by about a 10th of a second quicker. But here come the freshies. Topperhead up to 3rd.
And that's notable because he's passing the 2nd place driver in the point standings. So Jose Solis is no longer gaining on that lead, but now he's lost 2 positions, and he's going to look like he's going to lose a 3rd position right here. That means he's going to start bleeding again instead of gaining. And Tyler Head looking to actually potentially make a pass for the lead, our first of the race.
Sean Pellick has led 35 laps so far. Topperhead uses the strategy to take the race lead on the inside. And pit calls are already coming over the radio. Solis Jr. is coming in this time by, so the drivers who stayed out all want to come down right now.
And this is unfortunate, going to lose a lot of time here, and he's going to try and slow it down. It's one of the most difficult pit entries on the circuit. Manages to do it, and neither one of them, actually, Philip Snipes behind them, black flag, speeding on pit entry.
And he's also picked up the meatball flag as well, so potential contact to the wall for Snipes. Sean Pellick, most laps led so far, brings it in. He brings Christian Budd with him. Now keep in mind this pit lane, so difficult when it comes to the entry. Whether it's in eNASCAR competition where a lot of drivers manage to blow the tires under the brakes, or whether it's here where there's a chance you hit the barrels. That happened many times in 2003 in real life.
Something to be very mindful of is the 32 is also going to come down. Dylan Roberts got a black flag. That might be speeding on pit exit or a unsafe pit exit. We'll go back and look to see what that was, but either way, Dylan Roberts going to have to come back down pit road.
Keep in mind, when it comes to the pit lane, speed limit is 35. He went 36 miles an hour on the pit exit.
Yeah.
He went that half a mile an hour too quick.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter whether or not it's half a mile per hour or 3 over, you're over. And unfortunately for Dylan Roberts, likely not going to be able to back up last week's victory with a follow-up victory. So 8 Machine going down pit road, and a caution flag flies.
Caution, trouble on the pit entry. Several look to dodge. Lewandowski and Monstos Ali Osman. So we're under caution. Well, what is the reason? Larry Pace has claimed the caution, so the 75 has had an issue on his pit entry to bring it out.
Oh, man. Curious to see what happened here.
Well, there's the reason for the 21 to lock up right there. And this is why pit calls are important.
Justin, guess who is 2 laps down?
Sean Peleg, Jose Solis Jr., majority of your leaders.
Absolutely. And this is so unfortunate for those guys.
And that is the biggest risk, right, of pitting under green at the Monster Mile. If there's any trouble on the track, you're out of contention. And a majority of the drivers cannot get back on the lead lap unless they take a couple waves. They need a couple cautions and the leaders to pit basically every caution.
Yeah,
Tyler Head, meanwhile, looks like a genius.
I mean, I definitely don't like the idea of trying to pit under green flag if you can avoid it. I think that's something to be very mindful of. If you're pitting under green flag, you see what happens. You'll lose 2 laps right there, and that is one of the most difficult holes to climb out of, especially here in this 2003 season.
So here's the situation now. Brandon Kuzmantsevice currently scored as your leader, stayed out this past pace lap. We'll see if Mantsevice elects to stay out. He can technically make it on gas. Towerhead's now the first on fresh tires. Everybody took 4 tires who stayed in the lead lap. He, Holzer, Mauricio, Campbell, Lewandowski, Howe, Osman, McGee, and TJ Crampton. Now your top 10. Amongst the wave arounds next time by, Skipper, Solis Jr., Bud, Nick Doucette. And some tough breaks in this mid to late going here at Dover. So now how do you plan this out? Because if things stick the way they are, if there's no more cautions, to be put it politely, Towerhead gets more than a race lead in the point standings with just 4 races to go.
That's dangerous. You don't, if you're Jose Solis, you don't want that gap to continue to grow this late into the season. It's going to become more and more difficult. Now, anything can happen if Tyler Head has a terrible race in these next couple races, especially with the super speedway coming up. That could very well bring back that points lead significantly. But either way, you still don't want that gap to be growing these other weeks.
And here's the worst part in terms of the wave around situation. The leaders just got waved around to make sure they were there in time for the restart. Sean Peleg, because he came back around essentially behind the leaders, he can't get the wave around. The 48 is stuck a lap down.
Yeah, he was able to get the lucky dog, but he's also going to be lined up towards the tail end because of that. So an unfortunate scenario for the 48. Stuck 1 lap down instead of 2, but still, that's a he's going to be the last car on 1 lap down anyways.
And keep in mind, because we're not inside 10 laps to go, the lap cars are to start to the inside line for this restart. And here is an interesting play. Brandon Kuzmantsevice, who took fuel only back 26 laps ago, has elected to stay out and become the leader. not just under the caution, but to restart the race.
Well, this will be interesting. Very interesting.
Is that a confident interesting or an unconfident interesting?
A very unconfident interesting. We got lap cars on the inside. We got a driver who's out on very old tires behind them. We're gonna go ahead and wave off this restart just to figure out some stuff that's happening towards the tail end of the field. But either way, it's gonna be there's a lot of people there with mixed intentions and different motivations at the front of the field right now. That's something to be careful of as we see the 43 and a couple of other drivers trying to sort out what the heck and where they're supposed to be lined up.
And not only that, those who got the wave around, they're still a lap down. In theory, they should be on the inside, right? If I understand this correctly? They're staying on the outside.
Well, they did get a wave around issued to them, which I do believe that includes an EOL penalty. So this seems correct to those who did not get a wave around. Those three on the bottom, they are eligible to line up on the inside, but because the other ones were given a lap under the caution, they are required to start at the tail end of the longest line, which was going to be the outside line.
Remember back in 2003 where the L meant longest line and not just line? Many fans remember. But 20 laps to go. Monsivice, the control car, once the green flag waves. Head, Holzer, Mauricio, and Campbell, your top five. The four behind the 54 machine, all on fresh tires. Benson looking to battle to get a lap back here. He's the first one to lap down. Green flag is out. Kyle Benson jumps him and Monsivice spins it. A stack up down the front stretch. And that brings Roberts, Holzer, and a majority of others with him.
There was a second incident behind them involving Jose Solis, Sean Peleg, and more, all involved towards the rear end of the field. Multiple incidents on this restart. Oh my, and Sean Peleg is destroyed right now.
Multiple black flags in sim as a result of the tire spin on the outside line. And once again, what's that saying at Dover? Tire spin can be huge on the restart. Here's why. I think the picture speaks for itself.
Said that was going to be a difficult thing to keep in mind. Another incident involving the 89 towards the rear end of the field.
Hearing tempers are flaring everywhere. Holzer and Roberts up at the front, but then there's the second incident. You see it on the backdrop. You've seen more of that one, Josh.
Yeah, that looked like the 89, who was the last car just on the regular pace, got caught up by the 30 in front of Tyler Murray. They were trying to catch up, and that caused a major incident. You see cars flying, multiple cars involved. An unfortunate incident for those who just got the wave around and the free pass. That right there is why you don't want to get caught towards the tail end of the field. It's better to be at the front, although I guess in this circumstance, it doesn't really matter where you were at. There was an incident happening in front of you.
And all this, remember, came out from tire spin. Let's sit on board. This is Roberts. Look to be okay, and then the field comes crumbling on in.
The one driver that I feel is in a really good position be the 38 of Kyle Benson, who was the first car on that inside line and got a lap back and is now on the lead lap for the 38 machine.
On the bright side, the car's clean too, because the second car in line, and Roberts was in it, yes, but the entire field is still trying to sort out how they are supposed to be here. And the drivers with mandatory repairs, there were plenty of them. James Holzer was amongst those, Alex Bates. You also had Sean Peleg in the midst of that. Tyler Murray, believe, also. It looks like Colonix and Munstel's having to come down as well. This entire field has been flipped on its head to the point where Kyle Benson has now lost track of where he's supposed to be. He is now technically the leader on track. And the entire field's trying to sort how they're supposed to line up here. As a result, Tyler Head, I believe, is the official leader.
Yeah, I believe Tyler Head should be the leader. And then Kyle Benson should be the, I would imagine, the last car at the tail end of the field of the lead lap cars. But this is one heck of a mess up right now. It looks like Kyle Benson was given a wave around in error, because he was already on the lead lap technically at the time of the caution, so should not have been waved around the pace car. So this is certainly, I empathize, Justin, so much with the timing of this caution. I've had so many times in my race control career where I fear this major restart wreck. It can cause chaos in the timing and scoring system, because drivers who have taken the green versus haven't taken the green, it can cause a significant mess. People don't know where to line up. So right now, as it stands, 38 should be instructed to stop here, and he will come to a stop at pit exit, and the field will pass by him, and he should line up as the last car in the lead group. I would imagine that would be behind the 00 of TJ Crampton or Craig Lautenslager.
So they have delayed the green, obviously, as a result of all this. Benson has been informed to re-enter the pit lane, and then the black flags would be waved. So that would be about a 14-lap shootout once things get back underway. And here is how things are right now on track in terms of the top 10. Tyler Head, followed by Gabriel Mauricio officially. Zach Campbell, Thomas Lewandowski, Emily Howe, Ali Osman, Brendan McGee, Austin Reedy, and Olivia Hayward in your top 10. Those involved with the caution flag, including Murray, Pace, and Moore, are about 12th on back on the official timing. Right now, there are 22 cars on the lead lap. James Holzer is in the possible range of losing the lap if he doesn't get his repairs done in the next 5 seconds. It looks like he will try and get things restarted here, albeit in a buggy more than a race car. So, in turn, are you ready for some more fun? Miles the Monster is eating a lot of race cars right now.
And he is certainly eating the patience of the race controllers, the drivers, and you know what? I'll say it myself. And us up here. I feel like I want to see them race. I want to see some green flag racing, not wrecking on the start. Hopefully here we got a lot of drivers on that inside line who are attempting to get laps back, and we'll see if that happens. But that is unfortunate. Sean Pele is going to get an EOL per his own request because of, quote, damage.
So getting sorted here. Head ready up at the front. Lap cars to the inside, led by Matt Skipper. Sully's Jr., Nick Doucette, Christian Budd, Alex Koenig's also looking to battle for a lead lap spot and hope for a caution. Meanwhile, looking to be about 15 to go up on the board with the green flag waving this time by. Back underway. Tower Head, the points leader, looking to build on those points. Mauricio looking for the win. Oh, wow, they scatter behind.
Oh, we got a wreck behind him. The 45 goes around, and that is, I believe, all on the 91 of James Holzer.
Caution again.
He just sent it in the back of the field into the 45 machine. That is unfortunate that the 45 got caught up in that. I don't really think that either that or the 45 didn't know the 91 was down there and the 45 came down, but from the initial looks of things, it looks like the 91 just went in there full steam ahead.
Have to look to bring it back as two Dodgers get collected up on the top. But remember, WINSTEL rules say once the green flag flies, you can make the passes. Holzer was at least 10 car lengths back. McClintock actually made similar passes. But watch air. I guess you can argue Holzer blew too hard on the quarter panel.
It's certainly, I mean, the 91 did establish a lane all the way down there, but that's a difficult position to be put in. Now that I'm looking at it again, could be very simple that the 45 just didn't know that there was a car to the inside there, and Arrow definitely could have gotten it loose, but that's just unfortunate for the 45.
No one got their lap back outside the lucky dog, believe. Matt Skipper is the lucky dog. So that brings us to 23 on the lead lap. And attrition really continuing to add up in bunches here. So at this point, I'll ask you this. Who do you think's your pick for the win here? 17th on back, just pit, by the way. But everybody else, if you're up at the front, outside the lap cars, most cars are clean inside the top 5 or so.
It's difficult to count out Tyler Head. He is definitely one of our quicker drivers here, but I don't want to pick him just because I feel like being in first is not necessarily the best place to be. So I'm going to go with second place, Gabriel Mauricio.
And for Mauricio, that would be big because he's 6th in the point standings entering tonight. 10 top 10s, 5 top 5s. But he has been on a good stretch of top 10s. As a matter of fact, a 5-race top 10 streak for the number 40 machine entering tonight.
So it'd be a great opportunity to capture some points and close that lead. James Holzer claims the caution and goes ahead and disconnects from the race. Holzer in the 91 out of this race.
So James Holzer, who was so close to winning a championship last year, not likely have the shot this season, entering tonight far back in the points tallies with the attrition late. So Solis Jr. amongst those who are now battling for a lucky dog, but here's the top part of the timing of this caution and the restart. All the lap cars at 10 laps on back have to start towards the tail usually. It looks like we may restart at 10 to go exact. We'll see how the race scoring plays things out, if they send the lap cars to the back or keep them to the inside, since we're technically not at 10 to go until the green.
This will be interesting. 12 laps to go right now. 11, where will they line up?
So it's been an interesting one for those just tuning in. A busy night here at Dover Motor Speedway. 5th to last race of the season for the battle for the WINSTEL Cup. Your points leader, Tyler Head, up in the race lead. 6th in the point standings, Gabriel Mauricio looking for WINSTEL career win 1 in the Gen 4 cars. Zach Campbell, who for much of the season has been a very quick driver to say the least with 5 victories, looking for 6. And Thomas Lewandowski looking to break on through from 25th in the point standings. Emily Howe looking to add to that super speedway win and try to get into the top 10 in points with a good finish in these closing stages. A 10-lap shootout on hand. Lap cars have been told to move to the back. Solis Jr., the first of the lap cars currently. We'll keep an eye on that if there's another caution for the battle for the lucky dog.
Currently, I believe Jose Solis is the one in position to get that. So,
but he has Nick Doucette and Christian Budd right behind him.
Needs a good restart here.
10 miles to go from Dover. Green flag waits up on the stand. Back underway. 10 laps to go. Here comes Campbell up the inside. Mauricio can't get the block down.
Oh my goodness. Jose Solis into the outside wall. Nick Doucette got by him. And there may be a caution towards the back. There is not. The 32 is around. And oh my goodness gracious.
Caution flag indeed waves. TJ Crampton stuck along the outside wall. Alex Kolonix also collected. And Solis Jr. having the worst of nights for his chances for the championship. Crampton, who had ran as high as the top 10, also collected. You could argue that's on the 31. He was in the wall for the whole straightaway.
Yeah, that was a hard impact for Jose Solis, though. And as we see the hood just come flying off. We'll see another view here. And I mean, the 24 of Nicholas Doucette got a great start anyways.
So it's Junior. Well, having a car go through you doesn't add to the good things bucket. He has a meatball flag regardless, the 29 does. Ken Huff also involved. He was the 31. So 3 drivers with mandatory repairs. And that could be one of the daggers you can point at for the 29's chances for a championship. He is now down the pit lane and has to come down to repair the car for the rest of the way, likely.
Boy, oh boy. JP, I'm not sure if we're going to get a green flag finish here. This might be a lot of yellows. And I mentioned it earlier in the race. That's something that we were expecting to see as we see Nicholas Doucette get his lap back right there. But yeah, that's it's going to be difficult. We may end up just, if we're lucky, we'll get 2 laps green here.
Keep in mind, remember, if it comes down to it, WINSTEL does have a specific overtime policy. That policy being no green white checkers outside of the 1 attempt past the no point of no return point. And no cautions can be thrown during that 2-lap shootout in point of no return restart territory. Let's just put it this way, keep it clean for 2 laps at Dover. Because if there's a crash in the final laps, and during that stretch, we've seen what can happen at a mile racetrack with very tight walls before.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tight, narrow exit off of corner exits. We've seen them for a while be able to get away with 2 wide, but I think at the present moment, these restarts are marring things. We just can't get into turn number 1 clean. And I think if we're able to get back past turn number 1 and turn number 2 okay, we'll be okay, but it's going to be difficult to do that. We got so many people who are trying their hardest to get their laps back right now who are in it, but due to that green flag pit cycle, are not able to get back onto the lead lap.
Once again, coming up to the restart, just a couple laps away from it, in fact. To reset your top 6, Tom Overhead, Gabriel Mauricio, Zach Campbell, Thomas Lewandowski, Emily Howe. And your eyes are not deceiving you if you're looking at that ticker. Remember the first caution of the race in Ali Osman, who's had a horrific year for Hendrick Motorsports? Guess who is in 6th?
There you go. Good run right now for that number 5 Kellogg's machine. Just trying to get a good result here. See if that can happen. I mean, 7 laps to go. It's a good look so far, but if you're not able to get past these restarts, it doesn't matter. As we saw, it was white flag last time by when Jose Solis got spun and ended up finishing several positions worse than where it should have been, which was probably in victory lane.
Austin Reedy, who was also involved in the caution earlier, is back to 7th after running as high as the top 5. Brendan McGee quietly up 13 spots in 8th. Larry Pace with lots of damage in 9th, and Tyler Murray, who's been involved in several cautions in the top 10, coming up 5 laps to go. Some stern warnings over the radio. 5 miles to go. The message undertones, keep it clean. Who gets it done from the Monster Mile is the question. Can we keep it clean for 5 more miles? In minutes, that's 2.5 minutes.
Gonna keep an eye on the tail end of the field here to see how this goes.
Green flag's out, 5 laps to go. Not as good of a start for Campbell this time. But a good start for Emily Howe. She looks for fourth.
Successfully to turn number 1 so far. We'll see if anything happens off of corner exit here of turn number 2. It looks like they're going to get through clean.
Top 3 starting to break away. Campbell looking for the setup. All while Reedy under attack by Larry Pace. Ali Osman looking underneath. Emily Howe looking for a top 5.
Little side-by-side action right there. Emily Howe, Ali Osman. Ooh, gets real close off corner exit. They're able to make it work. But I think Gabriel Mauricio and Zach Campbell are side-by-side right now for second place. That's going to give a great advantage to Tyler Head directly ahead of him.
3 to go. Mauricio can't close the door. Campbell can't close the deal yet. Just about slides up.
Yeah, he's going to get a little loose there. That's going to give a good advantage to Mauricio into turn number 3, but not able to clear him is Mauricio, and they're still side-by-side exiting 4. And right now, Tyler Head continues to drive away.
Tower Head currently leading by half a second. 2 laps to go from Dover.
And that last lap for Tyler Head was the fastest lap of the race done by anyone.
Tower Head looks to be in the driver's seat. Zach Campbell clear for second, but the white flag waves up at the stand. Final lap from Dover. Tower Head, 3 wins entering tonight. On the path to 4, just lap traffic ahead as Campbell half a second behind.
And they're going to go into turn 3 and 4 one more time. Lap traffic is going to get to the low side. Tyler Head's going to have to drive an awkward corner. That's not going to cause any issues here.
Checker flag waves for the 4th time this season. It's Tyler Head who wins in WINSTEL. Campbell second, Mauricio third, Lewandowski fourth, and Ali Osman has his first top 5 since May.
Well, there you go. Tyler Head with the correct pit strategy right there is just able to make it happen. Congratulations to Tyler Head. That is going to continue to extend that lead out. And I can tell you right now, Jose Solis is really kicking himself right now. Finished 25th. That may drop him below second place in points there.
That's a massive swing in the points, to say the very least. But for Tyler Head, it's his first victory since Chicagoland back in June. And he adds a short track on top of Rockingham to his win repertoire. He won the first race with the current engine package at Rockingham, and he's been extremely consistent since then. Tower Head, your race winner tonight as he burns it down or attempts to bring any sort of smoke from the tires. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results for the Monster Mile.
There you go. Tyler Head is your winner. And Campbell was able to secure second with Mauricio finishing 3rd place, as that was something we were tracking all the way through.
You've seen 6th spot Emily Howe holding on to a top 10 with Larry Pace. Brennan McGee holds on to the top 10. Austin Reedy picks one up as well. Parker Alexander to the top 10. All while behind him tonight, Kyle Benson ended up getting up towards the front of the late stages, picking up his own lap back in 11th position. Olivia Hayward dropping out of the top 10 late. Lavik Zaire quietly moving to 13th. Nick Doucette, after losing 2 laps at one point, in 14th. Matt Skipper in the same boat in 15th. Jeffrey McClintock recovers from a spin to 16th with Murray in 17th. Brenda Cruz Monsivice, after being involved in that big incident, in 18th. Craig Launenslager in 19th. Hayden Aripes, your top 20. Back in 21st spot tonight, Alex Bates, the last of the lead lap. And some bad luck for many back here. Crampton, 22nd. Bud Collins and Solis Jr. all laps down, along with Peleg and Ken Huff. Dylan Roberts picked up a penalty under green flag pit stops and fell 3 down and never got the laps back. Snipes, 29th, with James Holzer letting it off in 13 down to 30th. Evan Locke and Steve Gauthier rounding up the field. And Andrew Perkins, despite taking part in final practice, did not take the green flag. That's looked top to bottom at your running order unofficial results tonight. But it's Tower Head. Discount tire. I don't know what that was, but hello.
Hello.
I see you're pumped up. We apologize for the audio. How are you feeling?
A mix of emotions, because I'm really happy to get a win, and felt like I
had the race going the right way before everything came off the rails. But on the other hand, really would have liked to have seen it race a little bit more green to the end. It was a lot of fun when we were under green, but overall pretty satisfied.
From my understanding, by the way, that was apparently a soundboard set up for a Denny Hamlin sponsor. But overall, how would you describe the racing tonight to get yourself to this position, but also the strategy?
Yeah, the racing, I mean, when we went green there in the middle bit of the race, I thought the racing was really good. As is typically the case, really tough to pass because everybody's very competitive and the speeds are so close. But that run came after some of us had gone into the pits, so there was a bit of a delta there with the tire difference. And I thought that I was in the catbird seat because not only had I passed the people who had chosen not to pit and was the first of those who had pit, but I felt like I was going to make it to the end on fuel. It was just going to be a matter of conserving it a little bit there on the bottom. And then obviously the caution came out and the rest of the race happened the way that it did. But yeah, I was feeling pretty good, and it's a big confidence boost because I thought this was a track that I could perform well at. Didn't really qualify exactly where I thought I was capable of, but had the pace in the race, thankfully.
Well, Talladega's next, and in turn, with the misfortunes of some, a more than race lead point advantage. What's the approach now for Dega, knowing you lead by likely more than 200 points?
I think I need to be cautiously aggressive there. The approach that I've taken in the 2 Daytona races that we've done so far has worked out that way. I really just try to keep myself in that first couple of rows, either be the one getting the push or be the one pushing at the front of the inside, middle, or top lane. I'm sure that we're going to be 3 wide through most of the race there. So it's really hard to get up through the pack with this draft model if you don't have the track position. So hopefully put down a good lap there and do everything that we can to keep the track position and see how the pushes go.
Well, congratulations once again on the victory tonight. It's your 4th of the season. That's the second most in the series.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Towerhead picks up the win tonight from Dover. I thanked him for taking the time to speak with us here at FTF.GG. And speaking of FTF.GG, up next here on the channel, it's the Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series. Stick around. They're off to Bristol. We'll be there in just a few moments.
Was there something in my walk, how I talk, giving off the wrong energy? Was there something in my stride, too much pride, telling you to back down? Slowly, slowly you became my enemy, but you can't seem to get enough of me. So if this is the last time, I guess I better make it worthwhile. Yeah, if this is the last time, I guess I better give it my all. So if this is the last time, I guess I better make it worthwhile.
And we'd like to welcome in our audience that was watching the 24 Hours at Dover with WINSTEL. We join you now, already well in progress, of the Barr Visual FTF Cup Series playoffs presented by Kicking the Tires. It's the Dick Trickle 300 from Bristol Motor Speedway. We're under our third caution flag of the night that just happened moments ago. Ryan Pandicio with the big damage in the 93. We'll get a replay here of how this started. It's contact with one Nate Stewart here coming up off the corner. Up into the outside wall. Seth Knoll does a great job avoiding. AJ Green in the 0-1 does not. It's been a busy night, though. Jacob Pitts, Caleb Hoffman here with you. It's the first race of the playoffs. If you see drivers with red banners, that means that they are in the playoffs. Your leader, Wyatt Tinsley, is among them. Their names are also in yellow on the left side of your screen. One driver, though, has had issues. As the drivers come to pit road, we'll talk about this. Parker White is currently on the racetrack. He is 47 laps down in 42nd. Why? He started on pole. Lap 2, turn 1, contact between himself and Jack Mace turned Parker White around in front of the field. He got hit by a couple of drivers, and he had to spend a lot of time on the pit lane under green getting that 011 machine repaired. Remember, your regular season champion by a lot. He has a 205-point lead above the cut line coming into tonight. He'll have to eat into that, Caleb, a little bit with wherever he finishes tonight. He's picked up 2 spots since the drop of the green flag, and there's the likelihood here that he'll pick up at least 3 more with Spencer Ray, Logan Helton, and Cosmin Yoneshu all out of the event, but still not the night that Parker White necessarily wanted. Should still be okay, but that's going to burn through the insurance that he built up pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can't afford to have this kind of run at this point in the season, because once the playoff starts, I mean, it's a 3-race gauntlet that you do over and over until you crown yourself a champion. Not only for Parker White has it been a tough night, he has a buffer, but looking back to other guys who have had their struggles here tonight, looking at guys like Blake Reynolds, who's in the playoffs, Kevin King, Kevin McAdams, all these guys outside of the top 20 right now, and nothing that they can't rebound from, but at this point in the race, almost halfway, it is time for all this to start kind of ticking down for you. And for everybody that's had a rough night so far, you really got to get your mind in gear and get prepared for the rest of this race.
So this time by, we'll have 25 laps to go in Stage 2. Brian LaPrade won Stage number 1. Now remember, we're doing single file restarts here at Bristol permanently all night long. And unfortunately, John iRacing has not fixed the glitch that we have had at Bristol for months. And by months, I mean a year. This was an issue last year in the Coke Series playoffs. And here we are, and we still are having issues with restarts here at Bristol once there are lapped cars. I don't know why. I don't know how. We had it on our last restart. We'll see what happens on this one. Cole Freilich is your leader. Your top 3 stayed out. Freilich, Hawken, and Zwack. Hawken and Zwack are part of the playoff picture. 4th on back, led by Falkingham. They visited pit road under the caution. Green flag, no issues here. We're back to racing here from Bristol, and right away, here comes Wyatt Tinsley to the inside, looking for 3rd as Hawken looks for the lead.
Yeah, Hawken made a big move there. Tinsley even looking to make it 3 wide for just a second, and this is one of the fun things about Bristol. Once again, you get to run all these different lanes. Look at Tinsley now above Matthews Whack, trying to get to that rear bumper. Daniel Falkingham shot out of a cannon off turn number 2. He's trying to take the lead now from Freilich.
Those tires really working for that 054. He takes second, looking for the lead, but Cole Freilich continues to hold on using that outside line. Meanwhile, for third, Wyatt Tinsley, he takes over that spot. Michael P. Frisch takes over fourth, and here comes Falkingham for the lead.
Now to the inside, still side by side off turn 2 here. Falkingham trying to use that bottom lane. You know, traditionally the preferred lane here at Bristol, but Freilich with that momentum on the high side just takes it back on the straightaway like he did right there.
Still side by side through turn 2, off the banking. Here comes Freilich with the run on the high side. Falkingham drives it in deep on the bottom. We've got one sideways off turn 2. We stay green. Falkingham takes the lead. And I think it was Ryan Araki there that got crossed up down the back straightaway. But new leader here at Bristol. It's Daniel Falkingham with less than 20 to go in stage number 2.
And you can see your top performers right now. I mean, look at how many names in yellow are inside this top 10 right now. They know it's time to put up or shut up. Daniel Falkingham, Tinsley, Michael P. Frisch all have just rocketed towards the front. Tinsley's had a rocket ship all day here at Bristol. There's Matthews Whack, Daniel Buttafuoco, guys like this on board now with Buttafuoco. He's in the 6th position. You see another fellow playoff driver right in front of him. That's Brandon Hawken. He's trying to get to the inside of.
You're right on board with Buttafuoco. One of the guys that's part of the playoff picture. With the reseeding, he is 5th, 28 points above the cut line coming into tonight. One of the few drivers in the playoffs that has not gone to victory lane this year. Why is that? Well, Parker White has 10 of those wins, so that doesn't help. But like many others, has not had the chance to go to victory lane, but he has been bad fast all year long in that 13.
Absolutely, and he's come close so many times. Obviously, remembering back to places like Charlotte, Chicago, all those types of places, just coming up short. And it's really been a weird playoff scenario just because, like you said, Parker White has racked up so many of them. It's really taken away opportunities from everybody else here, but like he needed it here in the first round so far. Michael P. Frisch here as well. You can see Sebastian Marin, another playoff driver, trying to break his way into the top 10 now on the outside of Lawson Peel, trying to make this outside lane work. And again, using that momentum, is going to be able to clear himself in front of Lawson Peel. And now is that back bumper at David L. Brown.
And Marin, you're on board with him, and the guy right in front of him, David L. Brown. Those are two guys that need good runs. Why? They're both on the outside coming into tonight's race. Now, they have 3 races until they have to worry about the cutoff. That will be at Talladega in 2 weeks. But Marin has the win at Talladega from earlier this year. It's pretty much his only playoff points as things are considered. He is 5 points out. Same with David L. Brown. Brown has not gone to victory lane, but he's won a couple stages here and there. He's also 5 points out. So those are 2 guys that are looking for a way to dig themselves out of the hole, get themselves above that cut line. You got to be in the top 12 in points at the end of Talladega in order to move on and stay in contention to fight for a championship.
Absolutely, and I mean, so easy here to kind of lose sight of it. I mean, this on its own is a very chaotic, very hectic racetrack, and things happen so fast here, as we know with what happened to Parker White early on. Some of these other cautions that we've had sprinkled in throughout the night, and I mean, even through this pack right here. I mean, Nick Miller right on the inside of Marin, Lawson Peel, David L. Brown, Brian Mercurio is falling back. Look at Buttafuoco trying to split him 3 wide up ahead. This is a big move. He is now in the middle, 3 wide once again with Hawken and Freilich. What a move from that 13.
And that's Parker White upstairs as well that's getting passed by these guys, and he has a little bit of speed, but certainly not enough with the damage that 011 Toyota has. We're inside 5 laps to go now in stage number 2. Daniel Falkingham leading the way by a quarter of a second over Wyatt Tinsley, trying to shift his line around. Frisch is there as well. Then 2 seconds back is Buttafuoco in 4th. And this pack you see here, Freilich holding on to 5th. Brian Mercurio right in line.
Yeah, Mercurio with some different colors on that number 41 machine tonight as you see him navigate his way through and doing a really good job up inside the top 5. Still kind of astounded by that run that Buttafuoco had as you see this group. He was just able to cut through them like butter. David L. Brown, Cole Freilich all in this mix. Marin, he's been on a tear as well, was outside of that top 10 when we first started looking at him, and he is now trying to challenge his way to get into 6th place to the inside of Freilich. He will take that 7th position on the inside.
Falkingham comes off turn 4, 1 lap to go in stage number 2, and Michael P. Frisch is looking to the inside for second on Tinsley. Won't get him there off turn 2. They'll make their way through 3 and 4. Green and white checkered flag will be in the air for the second time tonight, and it's Daniel Falkingham who picks up the stage win here at Bristol. His first stage win of the playoffs. And helping his case, giving him some well-deserved points as the playoffs roll along, and now he catches some lap traffic and has to work his way through that. And he'll have a little while until they need to make their way onto pit road. I believe they're going to have to make it 2 more stops from here to the end.
And part of what's so notorious here at Bristol with how fast everything moves here. I mean, we've been in this session for less than an hour at this point, and we are already halfway through it. Wyatt Tinsley just trying to chase down Falkingham right now. Cannot do it. Lap times, you know, you get sub 15-second laps here at Bristol. It's how fast these things are moving.
But once the tires start to age, you're not getting under 15 seconds anymore. So right now things have calmed down inside the top 10. Closest battle on the racetrack right now is Cole Freilich, who's just hemorrhaging positions. He's fallen outside of the top 10. He's got Garrett Conrath to the outside. Here comes the 05 of Scott Ricard up there. You've got Brandon Hawken right behind one of the playoff drivers. And remember, Freilich on very old tires. He's going to have to pit more than likely within the next 10 laps or so. As we're past the halfway point, Daniel Falkingham continues to lead the way. Let's slide back a little bit in the pack. As you see more lap cars getting in the way of the race leaders. That's the 37 of Ryan Naraki. Now, he is one that is in the playoffs and needs a good run. He has not had it so far tonight. And there he is, falling a lap down.
And coming into tonight, he is at the very cusp of this playoff field, 16th of 16. And again, like you said, needs a good night. Finished 32nd last week at Daytona. It wasn't really the run, the momentum that he wanted coming into the playoffs. But now here in Bristol, it's been a tough night as well, running 25th right now. As you just saw, got lapped. Needs to find something here for this 37 if he wants a chance through these next few weeks.
Meanwhile, mid-pack, it is a logjam in turn 2. Blake Reynolds is back here. He's in 19th. Matthew Zwack. Those are 2 playoff drivers right there in the 66 and the 7. Oshalem right behind. Jimmy Mullis is there. Jordan Worth. Kevin King. That's another playoff driver. He's back there in 21st. Kevin McAdams is 22nd. It's another playoff driver. So you've got some playoff drivers. In fact, your top 7, all playoff guys. And then there are the rest way back here outside the top 15.
And this is a fun group as well right here. And guys like Jimmy Mullis, Matthew Zwack, Jonathan Oshalem, I mean, Blake Reynolds just in front of this group. All these guys have speed. We know that, just kind of, like you said, log jammed through here. On board with Kevin King. And he is right on that bubble of elimination, 13th coming into tonight. Again, the top 12 going to advance to the next round. We'll decide all that here, Iowa and Talladega in 2 weeks. King without a win, somebody that needs a good run here tonight. Right now, just hasn't really had it so far Trying to get up inside the top 15 for himself right now, though.
Yeah, you mentioned the remainder of round one in the playoffs. You know, just 2 short tracks and a super speedway make up round number 1. We make things difficult pretty early here in FTF. Iowa next week, which is basically sister track to Richmond. And then we go to Talladega, which is definitely a wild card to end round number 1. We get back to basics a little bit in round 2 with the Roval, Las Vegas, and Homestead. Meanwhile, for the lead, here comes Wyatt Tinsley looking for Daniel Falkingham. Not going to get it done there. Falkingham holds on, and that could open up the door for the 58 of Michael P. Frisch.
And you got to be careful because this could
Trouble back
open
straight
up-
away. Jimmy Mullis turned into the outside wall by Kevin King. Up into Matthews Whack. And Mullis is facing the wrong way against the outside safer barrier. Caution's out. Saw that develop off turn number 2, 3 wide. And not enough room for everybody to get through. And Mullis gets hooked into the outside wall.
It's a classic example of Bristol being a little too narrow. And when you're trying 3, almost 4 wide off turn 2, that's just bound to happen.
I believe we'll get a replay here once Mullis gets rolling. I just going to have to wait another lap.
Yeah,
so Mullis is going to fall 2 laps down from the spin, and that's before he gets any damage fixed.
And there's just not an opportunity. I mean, it's just constant conveyor belt on the inside. I mean, he's going to have to find some sort of gap, figure out something, thinking about it there. I mean, we've all been in this scenario.
Yep. It's like trying to turn left at a stoplight.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. I got a road that's a 2-lane highway, and that thing is a nightmare. It probably feels just about like this.
Here we go. All right, let's see if we can get a replay. Now, it's being ruled as netcode here between these two. This angle's not really going to show it, because that looks like contact. But if we get another angle here, that might show a different story here. Let's take a look.
And I mean, see it. I mean, you can see it's not a lot of netcode, but there is.
It's enough.
Yeah.
So pit stops here from everybody. And this will trouble for Wyatt Tinsley. Ruh-roh.
Now let's try to see what's going on here with Tinsley, but this is a guy that this first half of the season just was plagued with bad luck, and the last thing he needs is for that to rear its head again.
Speeding on exit. Speeding on exit for Wyatt Tinsley. He'll drop to the back of the pack. That's huge.
Yeah, and I mean, before we had full coverage, I mean, Wyatt Tinsley was dominating this race. I mean, it felt like he was going to lead every lap here from Bristol, and now going to have to crawl his way back up. 127 laps. I mean, that seems like a lot, but here at Bristol, again, on fresh tires, sub 15-second laps. I mean, you're going to be flying through these things, and he's going to have to figure out how to navigate lap traffic, how to manage his tires for the end of this race, strategy, where are all his playoff drivers running, and that's what all the playoff drivers mean when they're talking about trying to focus their efforts onto solely their team, their car, what they got to do, because all of these other factors can easily plague your mind, and it can make it really hard to perform inside that race car.
Lights around in the pace car. On 125 laps to go on the restart. Falkingham, your leader. Then it's Frisch, Buttafuoco, Mercurio, Marin, Brown, Lawson, Peel, Pryor, LaPrade, Jonathan Oates, Garrett Conrath. Your top 10. You've got Hawkin back there in 14th as well, a playoff driver. Green flag. We're back to racing. Here at Bristol, we've got trouble in turn number 3. They're wrecking in the back of the pack. Caution is out. Art Reimer and Paul Mikolajczyk have crashed. Art Reimer crashed getting on the gas. What in the world happened at the back of the field with Art Reimer and Paul Mikolajczyk? Here they are checked up. And then Art gets on the gas. What? Did he just spin the tires?
I believe so.
Yikes. Starting to look like our predecessors here, right on board. Green flag's out, and he just spun the tires.
That is a sloppy start there from Art Reimer. I just cannot believe that.
We're going to go to a break here from Bristol. Daniel Falkingham is your leader. 123 laps to go. Can Falkingham take it to victory lane at the last great Coliseum? We'll find out. We're back after this here on FTF. Back here from Bristol, 1 lap away from getting back under the green flag. Daniel Falkingham, your leader. We're under our 5th caution flag of the night. After Art Reimer spun the tires, he came over the radio and said he was in the wrong gear. And that's why things went haywire back there.
Starting to get them in rapid succession. Hopefully we can get ourselves a run in here.
Yeah, that'd be good. Pace car is in. Have 119 laps to go on the restart. Back to green from Bristol.
Look at how this field just fans out through the corners. I mean, you see your first few are going to take that bottom lane, but 4th, 5th, 6th, those guys are going to start searching different grooves for speed. You can start to see them go up to that high side, maybe the middle somewhere. One thing's about Bristol, you can really run anywhere around this place.
Single file for the first 6, 7, 8 spots. First side-by-side battle between Garrett Conrath and Nick Miller back there. That's around the 11th spot, 10th or 11th. All single file at the very front of the field. See Brandon Hawken and Seth Knoll trying to go side-by-side just up the road. Scott Ricard there as well. That's 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Michael P. Frisch is starting to look for the lead from Daniel Falkingham. Again, trying to search for speed anywhere he can get it. Starting to run this high lane, and the momentum on the straightaways is really what is keeping Frisch in this race. If he can just time a run correctly, get down to the inside maybe, that 58 is going to be in a good spot. Off of turn number 2, just can't quite get there.
All over the back bumper, looking to the inside. No, he stays. That's Chris Wetz. That's going around on the back straightaway. We stay green.
Here come the leaders. Hold on. They are right there.
Lap traffic is going to be a factor here for the top spot. Falkingham has it. Frisch wants it. Frisch has yet to go to victory lane this year in the Barr FTF Cup Series. Trying to change the script tonight.
Yeah, and that's just a crazy stat that Michael P. Frisch, of all people, hasn't visited victory lane. Just feels incorrect. Trying to get to the back end of Falkingham. You mentioned lap traffic, Jacob. I mean, it's a problem at Bristol with 40 cars, just with how small this track is. But you couple that with the fact that we're running single file restarts. I mean, these guys are almost to the backstretch, just based on car count alone. So I mean, it really exacerbates that issue and makes it a handful for these leaders trying to navigate through it.
They get by Wetz without any problem. Falkingham extends that gap on Frisch just a little bit. Nice side-by-side battle, though, inside the top 10. Jonathan Oates, Brian LaPrade, 2 drivers not in the playoffs. They're duking it out inside the top 10. Good run for both those guys, and you got Scott Ricard right behind. A great run for him. Somebody that has made a couple of starts here and there this year.
And Scott Ricard, I know somebody that really wants to have a good run. I mean, hasn't necessarily had the greatest luck all year, especially looking back at Daytona. Was caught up in a wreck there and was running pretty well. Same thing goes here tonight, up inside the top 10. He can just hold on to it. That'll be a statement night for this 05 machine as he looks to the outside on Jonathan Oates, perhaps trying to get around him momentarily.
We are single file all the way through the top 15. That's just the way things have worked out here now that the lights have fully come on. We started with a little bit of daylight around the racetrack, but it has gone to complete darkness, and since that point, it has just been a conveyor belt around the bottom of the racetrack. Some drivers have tried to use that outside line, but it's the inside. That's your friend. You see the air temp up to 88, track temp down to 94. So it's hot for this time of year at Bristol, but there's still a lot more grip on the bottom of the racetrack. Not really spread out like we're used to seeing at the modern Bristol. But then again, these next-gen cars do suck at short tracks.
And I mean, even at Bristol, I feel like they're better than some of those heavy braking short tracks like a Martinsville or Richmond, something like that. Just with courtesy of our high banking. But yeah, with the weather here tonight, it has been super interesting to see that top lane is really just faded out entirely. It feels like lots of old school conveyor belt around the bottom type racing going on. Feels very 90s to early 2000s ish, where I think the only way you're really going to be able to get past a guy is by going straight through him.
"99 laps to go here from Bristol." See, that's David L. Brown trying to get by Mercurio. That's for 4th. Mercurio coming into tonight had a pretty big gap, 44 points to the cut line. 3rd in the standings. David L. Brown, one of those guys on the outside looking in, minus 5 points to the cut line of 12th. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered for that 83.
I mean, just squeaked his way in at Daytona with a good surge to the finish. Like you said, 5 points out coming into tonight. 5th place run should really, if not only put him in, but give him some additional padding to that cut line, especially when you consider how guys that are outside of that are running right now. Looking at guys like Matthew Zwack, Kevin King, who's had not the greatest night by his standards. Sebastian Marin running well as well in 6th. Both of those guys were 14th and 15th coming into tonight, and we'll see how that affects their playoff push after this one shakes out.
Yeah, so let's run through your playoff drivers and where they stand right now. Daniel Falkingham is your leader. Frisch is second. Buttafuoco is third. Mercurio is fourth. David Brown fifth. Sebastian Marin is currently in sixth. He's about to get passed, though, by Lawson Peel. Peel not in the playoffs. And you got to go back to Hawken in 15th. Wyatt Tinsley 17th. Blake Reynolds 19th. Matthew Zwack 20th. Kevin McAdams 22nd. Kevin King 23rd. Ryan Nalraki 24th. Michael Guest 31st, 3 laps down. Parker White 38th, 47 laps down. That's where your playoff drivers stand right now. And for Guest, that is a big blow. He was only 30 above the cut line in 4th place. And we talked about already with Parker White just eating into the insurance that he mounted up with his 10 wins and his 20-some playoff stage wins. His cut line advantage was 205 points. That's going to be shrunk considerably. Looking ahead into next week at Iowa, how much we don't necessarily know. And it looks like he'll at least pass Mullis here. So unofficially, Parker White's looking at a 37th place finish if nobody else parks the car. Now, we're also getting to a point where when we get to about 50 to go, if you're not out of the race by that point, Parker White may not pass you just because there may not be that much time left in the race. But that 11 trying to do everything he can right now, and that's why he's staying on the racetrack, trying to get as many points as he can, just in case he needs them next week at Iowa and or in 2 weeks when we go to Talladega, because those are not easy racetracks.
No, I mean, obviously, Parker White coming into the playoffs was the championship favorite, but, I mean, obviously this points format based off the real-life NASCAR Cup Series format. And we've seen guys with 10 wins not even make the Final Four. If you're Parker White, I mean, this playoff, it's no easy feat to make it all the way through to Atlanta at the end of this thing. You're going to have to bring your A game, and unfortunately tonight, just things didn't fall his way, and it's a rough night. That happens in racing, and he'll just have to regroup next week at Iowa and then Talladega in 2 weeks and try to get something going. But, you know, despite having that buffer, he can't just take it for granted and fall back on it. He has to perform at this point in the season.
AJ Green, by the way, he has parked a car. He is done for the night, so that's another spot for Parker White, as long as he can finish. Parker White now looking in the face of a 36th place finish. Still not where he wants to be, but sure he'll take that over dead last at this point.
Look at this group.
It is a hornet's nest back around Wyatt Tinsley and Parker White. You've got the 99 of Brandon Hawken in here. Blake Reynolds is in this. And Parker White was just the cork of the bottle there a lap ago. Things have sorted themselves out for now as everybody just goes to the high line to get by.
And again, that's going to happen, especially when you're having cars off the pace and trying to battle each other, and then the leader gets there, hey, I'm faster than you, and I got to figure out a space to go. It's what you see when you get some of that 3, almost 4 wide at points at Bristol, and it is one of the most riveting things that I think you can experience in the virtual cockpit of a race car. Tinsley right now under chase from Brandon Hawken at the moment. Again, Tinsley trying to work his way back up to the front here. Right now running 14th, trying to work on Jordan Worth. Oh, he has to really get out of the throttle there. Yeah, that was big. Jordan Worth had to slam on the brakes with Seth Knoll in front of him, and Wyatt Tinsley was right behind him, had to make evasive maneuvers. Again, with that momentum, will he make a move to the inside? No. Still trying to just stay committed to this outside lane.
He'd be the only guy up there right now. A lot of other folks are using that bottom side of their advantage. Here comes Blake Reynolds to the inside in the 66. .14th on back right here.
Oh, and look at him right now. He was trying to get to the outside of Seth Knoll, just wasn't room to make that work. You see this one car
Brian
on the
Zabelski.
inside.
Oh boy.
Yeah, like
Find
you
the
were talking
lapper.
about. Cork in the bottom. Oh, Tinsley just got the wall.
Yeah, that's going to cost him. Blake Reynolds will get by.
So will Hawken, maybe even Chin. And all of a sudden, going from trying to make a move for 14th to going to have to work his way back up inside the top 15 with Joshua Chin in 17th, right down his back.
Tinsley going to try and use that inside line, and nothing for him down there. Meanwhile, Blake Reynolds will get by Jordan Worth and set his sights now on Nick Miller in the 19th. So Blake Reynolds gets away and is on the doorstep now of the top 10.
And
Brandon Hawken has to try and get by the one here, Seth Knoll now.
is there anything worse than being a playoff driver in a group of traffic and just watching another playoff driver pull away from you? I mean, it's basically just watching points go up in smoke in your windshield, and definitely sets a timer off in your head. Hey, I got to go and I got to get these points now.
Pit stops. David L. Brown makes the call. He's coming to pit road. That's one of your playoff drivers. And I was about to say, right now you're in the window to make it to the end on fuel, but the way tires fall off, I don't know if pitting early is the best way to go. You see Frisch, he's under the gun from Botafuco, but David L. Brown was dropping back through the field, looked like he burned his tires up. He makes the call. He brings it to pit road. He'll get some service done, and Frisch is under fire. Here comes Danny Botafuco.
And I mean, it's a strange call to make, and it really complicated and difficult to decide when you're going to come onto pit road. Like you said, fuel, obviously, but tire advantage is going to help. But when the track is just jammed like it is with so much traffic around the racetrack, you can't necessarily just drive through and use it all the time. As one other car, I believe that's Joshua Chin, down as well now.
Yep. Black flag, Art Reimer. He brought it to pit road. And Wolf, yeah, he sped getting onto pit road. That's why he's got the black flag. Meanwhile, so far at the front, everybody's staying on the racetrack. There you see Hawken trying to get by Nick Miller. And remember, with pit road here at Bristol, when you pit, you have to pit and enter coming off turn number 2. And you've got to go all the way around to the entrance to turn 1 is where you finally get out of pit road.
And for anybody curious right now, David L. Brown, after going on both pit lanes, that, again, coupled with how fast you're moving around this racetrack, can put you a lap down, maybe even sometimes 2 laps down. Very detrimental if you were to catch a caution or something of the sort. A lot of times you'll see guys get trapped laps down here.
David L. Brown is 2 down in 29th as Lawson Pio comes to pit road. So does Paul Mikolajczyk. Joshua Chin is 3 laps down. And they were only about 5 positions apart from each other when they decided to pit.
And at this point, if you've already pitted, it's just a waiting game to see when Falkingham and the rest of the leaders are going to come down. Or otherwise, like I said, if you get a caution, it'll be bad times for you.
Garrett Conrath is in. You see the chaos here for Frisch and Botafuco trying to navigate their way through. The 41 of Brian Mercurio has joined the party. None of them making the call to come onto pit road. At least not yet. They're going to have to do so, I would think, here within the next 10 laps. We're already at 60 to go.
Again, just going to be ticking laps off one by one. Rapid succession. One car off track. Looks like Nate Stewart might be coming down.
And some drivers pit differently here. Some will just pull off in the middle of turn 2. Others will pull off getting into turn number 1 and ride the apron around. So there you see, that's a lap car that we just cut away from of...
Oh
boy,
four.
4 wide. That's Frisch and Botafuco side by side for position up by the outside wall. It's Naaraki, who's a playoff driver trying to stay on the lead lap. He's now a lap down. Botafuco takes second. Frisch back to third, and that could open up the door for Mercurio in 4th.
Great job by everybody to make it through right there. I'm still not quite sure how they did, but like you said, Brian Mercurio and Naraki making a slight bit of contact. And they are really starting to stack up through the field as a result of that. Josh Chin blew on by with those fresh tires.
Battle for third. Here's Mercurio to the inside. Frisch just does not seem to have the long run speed. As Nick Miller says he's coming to pit road. Here comes Dr. Bob.
And he right behind Michael P. Frisch. Right up inside this top 5. Maybe this will be the domino.
For the lead. Here comes I know who you are, but a Fuko peek to the inside there in turn 1. He'll try it again here in 3. He's a little too far back, though.
Again, maybe this will be the domino. If you are up inside the top 5, you see one of your fellow leaders coming down the pit lane. Do you follow him right here? Mercurio down to the inside. Thought he had a shot, but here comes Buttafuoco a little further ahead, trying to get there for the lead. Buckingham with a great drive off, but Buttafuoco has that mid-corner speed.
Here comes Marin up into the mix. He's in the top 5, looking for 4th. Somebody that absolutely is looking for a good run tonight. And the Nexus car around the outside of the 41.
Watch this lap car, Lucas Plessel. You'll see how much faster he is throughout the middle of this corner right here and can make it really treacherous. Robert Dorman actually just made contact with Daniel Buttafuoco in second. That might open the door for Michael P. Frisch. Here comes Plessel. Big advantage with the tires. You got to make room for these leaders, though. Got to be super respectful, super courteous. Oh, can't drive through them.
Yikes. That was dicey.
Yeah, it's close.
Jonathan Oates comes to pit road. Kevin King leaving the pit road right now. As these guys on fresh tires are coming out with the leaders, and it is pandemonium back here. Oshlem 3 wide with Marin and Nick Miller. Seth Knoll is there with Frisch. Here comes the 93. They're trying to fight for the lead, and lap traffic's in the way.
Yeah, this is interesting to say the least. And Buttafuoco trying to get to that quarter panel of Daniel Falkingham. He is there. They're going to try to be 3 wide. Oshlem on those fresh tires. We're peaking 4 side by side down the front stretch. Here comes Michael P. Frisch. We have a 3-horse race for it. Falkingham on the pit lane.
Yep, Falkingham drops to the bottom, locks the tires up. He comes to pit road to make his final stop. So Buttafuoco takes the lead. Frisch is second. Marin is third. We'll see if any of these guys decide to pit this time by. No, they're all going to stay on the racetrack. Inside 50 laps to go with currently 45 to go on the board.
And you're going to see here David L. Brown, one of those cars that makes contact with Briar LaPrade, but again on those fresher tires, going to try to drive past everybody here. Wyatt Tinsley says he's coming down this time by out of the 8th position.
Oh, David L. Brown gets turned by Lawson Peel in turn 4, and the caution's out into the outside wall. Oh, and he gets nailed by Kevin. Oh, Kevin McAdams just door slammed the 83. A hellacious crash off turn 4. Narakia Mikolajczyk also involved as well. It all accordion together in turn 4, and you've got lots of damage to multiple playoff drivers.
Yeah, can someone say implications enough? Not only David L. Brown involved, but Kevin McAdams with, I mean, off the corners here is a blind spot when you're going at race speed. Same thing that happened with Logan Helton and Cosmonao Neshu earlier. Comes back
Here's
to bite.
The replay. Now, watch the 13 of Buttafuoco. He turns down and closes the middle. Brown has to get on the brakes, and Lawson Peel just runs him over. And then, here comes Calamity. Wham!
Naraki as well was in that.
Yep, Naraki got the wall, as did Mikolajczyk. On board with David Brown. There you see the hole get closed up. He hits the brakes. He gets turned. And from there, he is stopped 1, 2, wham. Woof.
And not only was David L. Brown already, out of that bubble coming into tonight before he was running up front on board with McAdams here, he was only 16 points to the good.
He at least got some stage points. Did David L. Brown.
Oh, man.
Just nowhere to go. He had no idea.
Nope. Again, same thing that happened to Cosmonauta Neshu earlier with Logan Helton, where it's just a blind spot flying off that corner, and you don't know there's a car stop there, and you just fly into him.
And this is going to trap guys like Kevin King and Brian Mercurio multiple laps down. Mercurio 1 down. Kevin King is 2 down. Lawson Peels trapped a lap down. Daniel Falkingham, who's been the dominant car of the day, he is trapped a lap down. Now he'll get the wave around, but he is on slightly older tires. But that is huge.
Yeah, I mean, you could see on the ticker there just what kind of pandemonium we're looking at here. One guy that did kind of save, Wyatt Tinsley, who was just about to come down onto the pit lane, and he will now get the opportunity to pit under yellow and have the luxury of, falling back to about 11th. Again, with the speed that 20 has had, that might be a break that he needed here.
I think McAdams is going to try and stay on the lead lap here. He doesn't have a hood on that car. So my guess is it's all optional damage. And he's just trying to stay on the lead lap because right now that will put him in 11th. And he's just trying to catch up and then pit.
Yeah, well, I mean, the difference from on the lead lap, the tail end right there to the tail end of 1 lap down is about 13 spots. So definitely want to be able to retain that if you can at this point in this race. 39 laps to go, not a ton of time.
Big implications here. Briar LaPrade has to drop. Oh my. So your race leaders have to drop to the back of the field because they pitted or exited pit road while pit exit was closed. Briar LaPrade just left the game. He's done. He just packed it up. Now, he doesn't have anything to lose, but that's going to put Jordan Worth in the race lead with Matthew Zwack second, Hawken third, and Daniel Botafuco is going to have to start behind all of this lap traffic that is behind Worth. And look, he's 8 cars back, and he's the 5th place car.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like you said,
There
tons
are
of lap
10
traffic.
cars. 10 cars on the lead lap now. Now that Briar has left. This caution is still being extended here just to make sure we've got everything right, but we think we do. So, and because not everybody pitted, guys are not able to get the wave around. So Falkingham and Mercurio and those guys are still trapped a lap down. Otherwise, they'd be in front of your race leader. Lights are still on the pace car. Let's take a look with... Nope, okay, now they're out. We're half a lap away from green. We'll have 35 to go on the restart. Jordan Worth is your leader. For the record, Jordan Worth has never won a Barr Visual FTF Cup Series race. That changed tonight. Matthew Zwack won a race last year at Talladega. Green flag. 35 to go. Worth is gone on the restart. Hawken in third. Tinsley is fourth. And you've got to go way back to find the 13 of Botafuco in 5th.
Oh, Zwack just popped the wall out of turn number 4. That might open the door for Brandon Hawkins, who's going to spin.
Trouble turn 4. Trouble turn 4. Hawkins around, and there are more trouble on the other side of the racetrack. Another car is sideways, Parker White. Another car around. It's David L. Brown. He's spinning on pit exit. Is it a full moon tonight? Michael Guest spun in turn 4. He got net coated. So Pandicio blinked out, net coated into Nick Miller and Michael Guest and Seth Knoll. And then you had Hawken go around at pretty much the same time off turn 2. This is Hawken, and he just drives it in too deep and loses it up and into the wall. The caution was not for Hawken. Again, the caution was not for Hawken. The caution is back here around the 9. You got the 93 on the apron.
Oh, my
Blinks,
Lord.
wham. Yeah, horrible net code. And it takes out Noel and Michael Guest. Guest, one of our playoff drivers. He has had a rotten night. He's 2 laps down in 26th.
It feels like most of our playoff guys have battled some level of attrition, but I don't know if that might be the worst one.
Oh, boy.
David L. Brown currently just sitting on the pit lane right now, fixing damage.
Checking in on Sunday Night Football. They're at the half. You're not missing anything. And the Patriots stink. Dolphins lead 17-3.
Uh-oh.
You also missed a terrible graphic from the NBC graphics department. I guess because F1 had a race in Miami, they tried to use these F1 car things to show off their 2 fast receivers in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And you would think since NBC has the rights not only to NASCAR but to IndyCar, they would know how cars work. And this graphic did not replicate that.
Did want to check for you, Jacob. Looks like we are a waxing crescent tonight at Bristol.
I knew we weren't at a full moon, but
It feels like it. That's
yeah. This is true.
This is going to be interesting. Really funny that Jordan Worth is the lone non-playoff driver in the top 10, and he just so happens to have the lead. He got a great start last time, but doesn't have the advantage of these lap cars in traffic that he did last time. And wow, that is terrible. That is awful.
Yep. Doesn't even have the halo, which makes sense, I guess, since they have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle like cardboard cutouts in the cars. Nonetheless, Jordan Worth brings us back to green. 28 laps to go from Bristol. Green flag is back in the air. Let's see how far we make it. Here comes Wyatt Tinsley. He takes over third. Here comes Botafuco looking for fourth. Trouble back
and they're
straight away.
wrecking.
Car wall. Scott Ricard is in it. Brian Zabelski's in it. Such a great night for Scott Ricard. Trapped a lap down because of the caution during the pit cycle. And they wind up together in the wall with Zabelski. So the caution's back out. We'll get a restart under 25 to go. And Jordan Worth continues to click off laps as your race leader. Here's what happened. 3 wide the back of the field. And
not enough room.
Zabelski just, maybe a little bit of net code in there. But nope, they're going to make it on the 85. And Brian Zabelski's going to have to park the car for tonight.
That is a
That's
tough
at
break for
85.
Belsky.
"26 laps to go. Jordan Worth is out in front. We'll step aside and go to a break. Final 25 or so laps. Commercial free. We return here on FTF. Back here from Bristol. Restart with 22 laps to go. Jordan Worth is your leader. Then it's Matthew Zwack, Wyatt Tinsley, Daniel Botafuco, Brandon Hawken. Frisch, Marin, Reynolds, McAdams with a lot of damage, and Chris Wetz is somehow in the top 10 and on the lead lap. We're back to green. Here comes Tinsley looking for second. Botafuco is there as well, looking for his first win on the season.
And now it feels like kind of Jordan Worth might be the cork in the bottle here because Wyatt Tinsley, Botafuco, Zwack all
Trouble.
over him.
Falkingham, turn front straightaway. Into the inside wall. Caution's back out.
That point of the night,
Daniel Falkingham. He had been the fastest car of the night. And he gets contact and goes around. Off turn 4.
This gets turned. Look at this.
Yeah, that's a playoff driver driving through a non-play, or flip that, a non-playoff driver driving through a playoff driver there. Nick Miller just gets in the back of him and gives him the old boot scoot and boogie, get out of the way. They are both a lap down.
I don't know. I feel like you just got to be extra cognizant of guys who are running for a championship at this point. Can't be doing that.
Yep. And they will assign that to the 19, and he will have a pass-through penalty on the restart.
Well, we talk about how it feels like everybody in the top 5 is faster than Jordan Worth at this point, but it doesn't really matter because if we're just going to pace all the laps away, then Jordan Worth is going to be in prime position at the end of this thing. Matthew Zwack was all over him. Wyatt Tinsley, obviously, has been carving positions up Budafuco, Hawken inside this top 5 as well. Michael P. Frisch, we've seen him inside the top 3 all night. Sebastian Marin has had a really nice run tonight. Blake Reynolds as well. All these guys playoff drivers, and all of whom are going to be extra aggressive as we get to the end of this thing. I mean, at this point, what links do you go to just to make sure you're on the flip side of the bubble and you're secured into that round of 12?
We're running out of laps, gang. And as much as we've seen Jordan Worth maybe not have as much pace as a guy like Wyatt Tinsley and Daniel Budafuco, we keep this up, he's going to have a shot at this, because on 2-lap speed, he's faster. It's on the longer runs, which 15 to go is a long run to me. That may be trouble for the driver of the 97.
Yeah, I mean, every lap that we spend under caution right now is one less opportunity for Matthew Zwack, Wyatt Tinsley, Daniel Budafuco, and co. I mean, these guys want these green flag laps to just tick away so they can figure out ways to get around Jordan Worth, whereas if we're just running them all under yellow, they're not going to have that chance. So if you're inside this top 5 and you're not Jordan Worth, you definitely want to see us get a run in here. Again, especially guys like Wyatt Tinsley, who have just been so good here all night long. And again, that non-broadcasted portion of this thing, I mean, Wyatt Tinsley was just on rails, it seemed, all night. So we'll see if he gets a chance to show that here. 16 laps to go at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Stat of the day from Doug_Clausen on Twitter writes in, Joe Burrow is 0 for 12 on passes of 15 or more air yards this season. He's the only QB with multiple starts and 0 completions in that category. Green flag, 15 laps to go. Jordan Worth out in front by a car length and a half, but he's got company on the back door. Zwack is there. Here comes Wyatt Tinsley coming to turn 3.
All of them migrating to that high lane, trying to use every bit of momentum they can here at Bristol. Here comes Wyatt Tinsley. Big sin down to the inside underneath Matthew Zwack. That's going to open the door for Daniel Budafuco here at 14 laps to go at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Side by side for third. Tinsley loose. Going to lose the spot. Budafuco takes third. Side by side for fifth between Tinsley. No, that's Frisch and the 99 of Brandon Hawken. They make their way through 3 and 4. Frisch going to take that 5th spot for now. It's all playoff drivers behind Jordan Worth. Defense signs are out for the number 97. Coming to 11 laps to go at Bristol. Can Matthew Zwack pull it off and win his second race of his FTF career as you see the 9 of Garrett Conrath off the pace? Or can Jordan Worth pick up his and the wall? Zwack got loose and up into the wall. That opens it up the door. Budafuco takes second. Tinsley can't hold the bottom and cannot hold on to third. Cole Hooper lost his speed and is going to lose some time. He was running 12th. He'll stay there because of the amount of lap cars that are on the racetrack. Tinsley trying to claw his way back to the front inside 10 laps to go. Now 9 to go. Here comes Frisch looking underneath Zwack for third.
These cars are just not driving well in the inside lane right now. Tinsley almost wrecking loose. Sebastian Marin as well, a little further behind. Right now, it's all about Daniel Budafuco. Can he close this gap to Jordan Worth, who's actively searching for his first Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series win into turn number 3. 13 still trying to chase him down.
That last time by, they were about even as far as lap time. This time by, Budafuco just a hair faster. He is closing. We're coming to 7 to go, coming to 6 to go. Here comes Frisch underneath Zwack. This is for third spot. Lap traffic ahead for the leader. Zwack holds off Frisch, has the grip. 6 to go. It's Nick Miller, the lap car, that's going to be in the way of your race leader, but they've got a little while to get to him as Zwack tries to hold on for third. Here comes the 97 of Jordan Worth. I keep fooling Zach Johnson breaking ankles here. 5 laps to go. Let's stay with the leader.
Yeah, inside the last 5 laps here, and time is ticking for Daniel Buttafuoco, who has to figure out anything to get around Jordan Worth here. Matthew Zwack under attack from Michael P. Frisch, but that is not what's important, as Daniel Buttafuoco trying to lock himself into the round of 12 with a win here. Can he get to Jordan Worth coming to 3 laps to go at Bristol?
Worth out in front. The lap car to the inside, and Nick Miller. Miller has the grip down at the bottom of the racetrack. They'll stay side by side. Buttafuoco still a little too far back, and he's not gaining as fast as he once was at the start of this run. Worth setting sail. Things still calm behind them. Coming to 2 to go.
Off of turn number 4, can Daniel Buttafuoco do anything? He's going to try to get down to the inside. He's right at that quarter panel. He might make contact off turn number 2. We're side by side for just a second. Now single file once again. He's peeking off of turn number 4.
White flag in the air. 1 more lap to go in the Dick Trickle 300. Buttafuoco drives it in deep. Side by side for the lead. They almost make contact off turn number 2. There is contact into 3. Worth pinches down. Buttafuoco drives off the corner. Who's going to get their first win? Daniel Buttafuoco gets it. He's going to the round of 12.
What a run at the finish for Daniel Buttafuoco. He drives down Jordan Worth, gets past him in the final corner, and Daniel Buttafuoco is moving on.
So close for Jordan Worth. But it's a playoff driver going to victory lane and is moving on in the round of 12. His first career Barr Visual FTF Cup Series win. And what a time for it to come when it matters most. And he goes to victory lane, beating out some of the best.
Yeah, I mean, that was no easy feat right there for Daniel Buttafuoco. As you mentioned, his first career win in the Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series, and not to mention a lot of other playoff drivers who had great runs. Buttafuoco doesn't have to worry about Iowa and Talladega now. He is in.
Buttafuoco, your winner. Worth, just short. Just came up short. Gave it everything he had. Coming through 3 and 4, just didn't quite have the grip on the outside. Frisch finishes 4th. Wyatt Tinsley comes home 5th. Brandon Hawkins 6th. Blake Reynolds 7th. Sebastian Marin 8th. Chris Wetz is 9th. Ryan O'Rocky got lapped, I think, 3 times tonight and finishes 10th on the lead lap.
Yeah, and a great run for Ryan O'Rocky there. Cole Hooper had a quiet night. He comes home in 11th position. Kevin McAdams, with all that damage, holds on for a 12th place here at Bristol. Garrett Conrath, last car on the lead lap in 13th. Brian Mercurio and everybody else, they were trapped a lap down after that last caution. Mercurio 14th. Cole Freilich, we saw lead laps in 15th. Daniel Fockingham obviously dominated the latter portion of tonight's race. He walks out of here with a 16th place finish. Joshua Chin 17th. Seth Knoll in the 18th position. Jonathan Oshalem in 19th. And then Jonathan Oates, 2 laps down, rounds out your top 20.
Kevin King, not a night that he needed. He finishes 21st. David Cabrera finishes 22nd. All these guys 2 laps down or more. Paul Mikolajczyk 23rd. Michael Guest, woof, not a night he needed either. He finishes 24th. Scott Ricard had a good night going. Got involved in a crash late. He finishes 25th. Lucas Plussel, 26th, 3 laps down. Nick Miller obviously had his issues late. He finishes 4 laps down in 27th. Brett Puncari 4 down in 28th. David L. Brown was in position to get a top 10 finish tonight. He finishes 7 laps down in 29th. He is going to need a strong run at Iowa and a strong run at Talladega to get out of the round of 16. Art Reimer finishes 30th, 9 laps down.
11 laps down for Robert Dorman, who finishes in the 31st position here tonight. Lawson Peel, we saw one of those latter half cautions in 32nd tonight. Brian Sabelski, 33rd. Brian LaPrade in the 34th position. And then your playoff leader, Parker White, in 35th. Going to have to pull out one of those wins that he's been so notorious for this season out at Iowa or Talladega. if he wants to ensure his chances into the round of 12. Nate Stewart, 36th tonight. Ryan Pandicio, 37th. AJ Green, 38th. Rocky Boyd in 39th. And then Jimmy Mullis in 40th. 131 laps down.
The rest here, Cosmin Yoneshu, Logan Helton, they crashed early. Spencer Ray, he took a hit to the inside wall. And Jack Mace, who was part of that contact there with Parker White that we didn't see at the start of the race. Daniel Botafuco, you're an FTF Barr Visual Cup Series winner. How about that? Take us through those last 5 laps, chasing down Jordan Worth, trying to get your first win.
God damn, man. Holy cow. Damn. I didn't think I would be that excited over a win, I'll be honest with you. That was crazy. I thought we were done. I made that stupid mistake of not looking where the pit lane was or when it was closed, and we fell at the 5th, and then we made up a spot, and then we just got him at the right point, and I was wrecking. I was so loose that whole last 20 laps, but we just hung on. And I don't know what that lapper was doing there. I guess he thought he was racing for the win, but that kind of indirectly helped me a little bit. And then just had to keep digging. He was running the top. I don't know why. Middle was working really good for me. I felt like I had the most grip there, and just kept using that, and then just try to force him to track just a little bit where I could kind of have a good exit, and it worked out. I got to be honest with you, finally. I kind of thrown away a lot of these wins. It's been a long time coming, so it feels good to get that monkey off my back and get that win. And ran pretty good all race. I wish I was a little bit better long run, but I think that last run we had was pretty good. So, yeah, I'm just really happy. It's at Bristol, man. Bristol, baby. How about it? We won here in the Heat Pro League Championship 3 years ago, and we got our first FTF win here. So it's a pretty cool place.
You said it takes the monkey off your back. You don't have to worry about Iowa or Talladega as far as the playoffs are concerned. You're locked into the next round. How good does that feel that you don't have to go into Talladega trying to point your way in? If anything, you just have to think about maybe helping teammates out and move on.
Yeah, thank God. I hate Talladega. I hate all play tracks, to be honest with you. So it feels good to not have any stress about that. That race I'm just going to race it the same way I normally do, though. Not normally. I'm going to try to be smart with it. Just try to be smart with the draft and making moves whenever I can. But feels good. I'm just happy I got a win. I feel like the season would have been a failure if we didn't have at least one win. So just were there at the right point and made the most of it and didn't quit. Just the most important thing. So it was yeah, I'm just really hyped. That was intense. I hope everyone watching enjoyed that, because that was a lot of fun from the driver's seat.
Business is picking up as we hit the playoffs. Daniel Botafuco scores his first win. Daniel, we'll see you next week from Iowa.
Damn right.
Daniel Botafuco, momentum on his side. Caleb Hoffman has second place finisher. We haven't talked to this guy all year. Jordan Worth.
And Jordan Worth, that entire final run having to hold off Daniel Botafuco, coming just short in that final corner. Anything you think you could have done to hold him off for just half a lap more?
No, he's just better than me, man. And you know what? I was just happy to be in that situation. Just because I shouldn't have been there. Because I don't know what the hell happened there with all the pitting and not pitting, but it gave me the lead, and I was like, wow, look at this. But I knew those fast cats were going to get to me at some point. But you know what? We raced polite yet firm, and I appreciated that. I just had fun, and that's what it's all about, man. I just want to have some fun. Did you guys have fun?
Tons. Loved it. Well, I mean, that finish was incredible. I'm glad you were a part of it, Jordan. Was gonna ask you about that as well. You know, obviously not in the playoff battle here. I mean, are you just out here trying to hunt for wins at this point, or I mean, what's your mentality going to the rest of the season here?
Oh, I'm just cutting it up. I just want to have fun. But there are like 2 or 3 drivers I really want to beat every race, like Kevin King. If I can beat Kevin King, even if I finish 39th and he finishes 40th, then I had a good time. I just want to beat him. But other than that, I'm just here to have fun, man.
Jordan Worth having fun in the car and giving us lots of fun up here in the booth as well. Nice to talk to you for once, Jordan.
Thanks, man. I appreciate y'all.
That is your second place finisher in Jordan Worth. We'll go back up to you, Jacob.
The voice of Bottom split, and hasn't been obviously doing the races on the bottom split side because we've been doing them all year. But Matthew Zwack joins the program now, third place finish, and mission accomplished, I'd say. Top 3 finish at Bristol, and now you're 9th in points coming out of here with 2 races to go in the round. I'd say that's a pretty solid night.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. If I had to guess, you guys probably didn't say my name more than 2 times until the last 30 laps because I had no speed. So, got lucky just how he drew it up, getting the top 8, a speed or a closed pit penalty, and yeah, we were just holding on from there on the way in. I was really happy to get top 3. I was tracking Jordan down. I PB'd on 289, and then I tried to chuck it in a little farther on the next lap and just got loose, and that was about all she wrote. But I can't complain at all about a P3, so yeah, I'm super stoked with that.
And at this point, signs pointing up. Right now, you're plus 45 from the cut line. It's not a lot by any stretch, but it's a little bit of padding. I'm curious your thoughts going into Iowa next week and going into Talladega in 2 weeks with that little bit of a gain now that you're away from that cutoff line a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna throw some. If it goes green, I'm 100% gonna throw some caution to the wind at Iowa. Going late is how I got up into the top 10 here, and my short run speed has not been great all year in the next gen, so I'll definitely do the same thing at Iowa. But I think I have a top 10 finish. I don't know where I finished at Atlanta, but on the big super speedways, I have a top 10 finish in every one this year, so I feel pretty confident there. So yeah, we'll throw some trickery at it at Iowa, and then see where we are and take that in the Dega.
Zwack, congratulations. We will see you next week from Iowa. Best of luck.
Thank you.
That is Matthew Zwack, P3 tonight from Dover. Oh boy. Things just got interesting. You don't want to let somebody get hot in the playoffs that's in the playoffs. I think that's what's happened here with Daniel Botafuco. He's locked into the round. He doesn't have to worry about points at all. And now, looking at the points, Parker White is 148 points above the cut line, still leading points overall. Michael P. Frisch is 98 points above the cut line. Tinsley, 97 points above the cut line. Falkingham, 86 above. Mercurio, 59 above. Hawken, 55 above. Blake Reynolds, 52 above. Matthew Zwack is 45 points above, as we just talked about. Kevin McAdams is 28 points above the cut line. Sebastian Marin is now 26 points above the cut line. Michael Guest is 1 point above the cut line. On the outside looking in, Ryan Nawrocki is 1 point back. Kevin King is 21 points back. David L. Brown is 39 points back. Dylan Basin had to take a last place provisional. He was not here tonight. He is 87 points back. Some big gains, some big losses, as you see there with the crudely edited Discord screenshot from Justin Miller. The graphics department will be awake and alert next week, but this is what we got this week. Things have shuffled. Even though we only had one guy that was on the inside that's now out, things have taken a big step, I think, with Botafuco locking himself in with his first win.
Yeah, and again, Botafuco doesn't have to worry about Iowa next week, doesn't have to worry about Talladega. He is in no matter what. And I mean, even for guys like Dylan Basin was on the inside of the bubble, and now with not being here tonight, you see that practically in a must-win the next 2 weeks. Going to be a very interesting uphill battle for him the rest of this round. And I mean, we had tons of playoff drama. I mean, Kevin King as well, trying to avoid doing his best Joey Logano impression here. And it's going to be difficult for the defending Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series champion, but we know he's up to the task. I mean, looking around still, Frisch, Tinsley, Falkingham obviously all had speed here tonight. Going to be interesting to see what we whittle down in terms of the 12 drivers that are going to advance, but a heck of a first race here at Bristol. Again, tons of playoff implications, tons of drama, and definitely lived up to the hype.
Well, that's Bristol done. We only have 2 more short tracks left. 3 if you count Phoenix. 1 is Iowa next week. 1 is Martinsville. Blech. But we'll see that all throughout the next couple of weeks. I don't know what's coming up on FTF. I don't really care. We'll see you from Iowa next Saturday. Road to Pros off this week. I think that's it. You'll see WINSTEL, I guess, next Sunday night. But we're back on Saturday night next week from Iowa. We'll see what happens there. Zach Johnson, our producer. Kayla Huffman alongside me. I'm Jacob Pitts. So long from Bristol. Daniel Botafuco's locked into the round of 12.